this isn't the first time that Yandy Diaz has gotten into an altercation um, with one of the players on his team, and we heard that he got into it Randy Rosarena last year, and Yandy slammed him, and that was probably one of those fences that were never really mended. And then Yandy, the days surrounding Randy Rosarena's trade, Yandy was nowhere to be found. Randy gets traded, and then the Friday that Randy's gone is supposed to be Randy Land. Yandy's back there. There's just a lot of like mysterious things surrounding Yandy Diaz. And what makes matters worse for this entire situation is that after this whole dust up happened with Yandy Diaz and Jose Caballero on Wednesday night, only one of the guys spoke, and it wasn't Yandy Diaz. It was Jose Caballero. I really think it's weird that Jose Caballero was the one guy out of the two that spoke to the media after this confrontation. Now, Trisha Whitaker of Bally, she asked to speak to Yandy. He declined. And one thing that I said on the show today was like, all right, let's let's hold off on kind of going a little bit too far on the Yandy Diaz thing because he may have just said, hey, I'm emotional. Let cooler heads prevail. I'm going to go home. I don't want to talk about it right now. And tomorrow, when things are more calm, the dust is settled a little bit, I'll talk. But we find out that's not what happened. Again, Yandy Diaz was asked to comment or talk to the media, and he declined once again. Now, if you're going to tell me that the Rays are just going to, sweep this thing under the rug and neither guy is going to talk, hey, I may not be in love with that type of sentiment, but at least they're keeping it even with both guys. But you're telling me that a guy like Yandy Diaz, who's one of the longer tenured players on this team, a leader on this team, isn't going to face the music, but a guy that's been here less than a year is? How does that not smell funny to you? How does that not reek of awkwardness? It doesn't reek of awesomeness, that's for sure. I don't quite understand why Yandy Diaz can't just stand up there and be like, hey, we're grown ass men. These kinds of things happen, and we're just going to move on. We're trying to win games. So it's competitive here, just like Jose Caballero did. It's different when you're a leader. It's different when you're one of those guys that people look to in situations like this. You have to face the music. Those kind of things come with being a leader. I mean, look at a similar situation that we've seen just in the last week. Tua Tagovailoa makes these inflammatory comments about Brian Flores and discusses their relationship that they had in Miami and how hard he was on him. And some of the things that he said to Tua, just, we don't want you here, and just pretty much calling the guy a terrible, horrible person. The very next day, Brian Flores goes right up to the microphone and handles it with all class. He lets everybody know, yeah, I got to learn from this situation. I got to be better. I got to coach better. I got to take what happened here and make sure that it doesn't happen again going forward. That's how you handle it. That's grown man shit right there. Good for Brian Flores. Nobody's perfect. People are going to make mistakes. You're going to hopefully learn from them and get better in the future. Brian Flores articulated it so. And you know what? People are going to move on. He's still got a job. He's still beloved in the league. The Minnesota Vikings are probably going to have a pretty good defense because he's the guy at the helm. But of course, he didn't look good in situation, but he faced the music because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what leaders do. Nobody's expecting Yandy to be perfect, but they expect him to be able to stand up and answer the questions that the very small and very kind and friendly Tampa Bay media have for him. Answer those questions, Yandy. It's Trisha Whitaker. She's she goes above and beyond to tell some of the great stories about the Tampa Bay Rays, and she never paints you guys in a bad light, ever. Do I think Yandy's a bad guy? Not even close. Not even close. There's still time for Yandy to say something, but I do believe that if you're a leader of a team, you have a responsibility to stand up in front of the media and put a bow on it, to finish it off. Just hey, this is just move on. Move on. But you can't move on until there's closure. And the only person that can give closure to the situation is Yandy Diaz.